everyone, and welcome to Introduction to Screenwriting. I wanted to introduce myself before we got started. So my name is Quirk. I go by she, her. And a little bit of my background, all the way from the beginning, I actually started in a different career. So I started thinking I wanted to be an attorney. So I went to Penn State undergrad and studied crime law and justice and thought to myself, I want to be the best prosecutor out there, and clean up the streets. And then I went to law school, directly to law school at New England School of Law. And I thought, uh-oh, I don't love this as much as I thought I would. I thought it was going to be big law and order courtroom speeches like, he's guilty, you're right, you win, yay! And that's not quite how it turned out. So I was like, uh-oh, I don't know if I love this. So I started working at some law firms to see if I liked it. I worked in criminal defense in Philadelphia, and then I moved to New York City, worked on Wall Street in intellectual property law. And no matter what type of law I worked at, I still didn't love it. There was still something missing for me. So this is kind of a little background thing. If you don't really know what you want to do yet, and even if you go as far as going to school for something and you don't love it, it's okay to change careers. I'm here to say you can do it. So I'm on Wall Street, working intellectual property law, not loving it. So I started exploring everything the city had to offer, and I saw my first improv comedy show. It was called Upright Citizens Brigade. It was in this sticky, dark basement of a grocery store. I was like, where am I? What is it? The seats were broken and duct taped together, but I was watching these actors and comedians on stage just being so funny. And I'm like, that looks so much fun. So I was like, I want to do that. I went to Google and I was like, New York City improv class. How do I take that? And I started signing up for improv classes. I loved it. I was like, okay, more. I took improv at UCB, at a place called The Pit, the People's Improv Theater, and just absolutely loved it. I'm like, what else in this awesome comedy world can I work in? Well, we offer sketch writing classes. We offer writing for SNL, writing for sitcoms, writing for late night. And I'm like, sign me up for everything. And it was a sitcom writing class. And I'm like, all right, things were clicking a little bit. This is, I think, what I want to do. So I was like, how do you write for television? I didn't realize that was a job. It's crazy. I thought you just turn the TV and the shows are there. You go to the movies and the movies are there. What do you mean people have to write them before they make them? Wild. So I heard you can get a degree in screenwriting. And I'm like, I think I need to learn how to do this. And they're like, you have to move to Los Angeles. And I'm like, oh, that's really far away. I don't know anyone there. But turns out that UCLA had a pretty good program. It was in the right location. LA was in the title. So I'm like, that's probably where I should go. And I got my MFA in screenwriting from UCLA. During the 2 years master's program, I did a ton of internships, ton. And I think that's exactly where you're going to get the best hands-on education into the career of working in entertainment. I interned at a place called Gary Sanchez Productions, which was Adam McKay and Will Ferrell's production company. I interned at Funny or Die. I interned at a place called the Gersh Agency. There are many different agencies out here, talent, lit, so many more. I interned at CBS in current programming and drama development. I interned at UCP. At the time it was called Universal Cable Productions. Now it's called Universal Content Productions over at NBC. They were doing development for Sci-Fi and the USA Network at the time. So through all of these really interesting internships, and my last one kind of led me into working to TV shows. The last one was on CSI, Crime Scene Investigation, where we shot the show up at Universal Studios here in Universal City. And it was at season 13 is what I worked on. It was a lot of fun. I was a writer's intern. So I was in the writer's room, making coffee, making sure the snacks are great. And I got to sit in the room and listen to the writers work on their stories. I got to have lunch with them. I got to walk over to set because we also shot up there. So I got to see the sets and see the actors and see everything. And it was a really, really great education in what it's like to work on a TV show. So after I worked on CSI, I finished grad school and I worked on a bunch of other TV shows. Some you might have heard of and some you might not have heard of. So the one I worked on right after that was a show called The 100 on the CW. I was on season 1 of that. Then I went over to Resurrection, which was an ABC show that lasted for 2 seasons. Scream, which was on MTV. I believe it lasted for 3 seasons. And then I worked for a writer who had an overall deal at Sony. I get into what an overall deal is in another moment. We developed sort of darker cable dramas. We ended up selling a project to Hulu, selling a project to Apple. But he didn't actually get any shows on the air at the time. And then I went over and worked on Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist on season 1. That was on NBC. So then, with the show that I just wrapped on, I was a writer on a show called Justified City Primeval. And if anyone is a fan of the original Justified, that was on FX for many seasons, and it's also streaming on Hulu. This is sort of a spin-off-esque project. It's a limited series, potential for more, but right now that's what it is. So if you are a fan of the original show, you will absolutely be a fan of Justified City Primeval. So that is my journey, going from working in law to being an assistant on TV shows to becoming an actual working television writer, an actual working screenwriter. So I'm really excited to teach you everything that I know and to reading your stories.